Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Story Highway, where emotions travel farther than words. Today's story is called The Library on Maple Street. In a quiet suburb of Boston, on a street lined with maple trees that turned golden every fall, stood a small, almost forgotten building, the Maple Street Public Library. Once a bustling place filled with readers and laughter, it now stood half empty, its paint chipped and its future uncertain. But every morning, right at 8:30, the librarian, Mrs. Eleanor Finch, would unlock its doors with the same care as she had for 40 years. She was 71, with silver hair, round glasses, and a heart full of stories. To her, the library wasn't just a place, it was home. Eleanor had watched generations of children grow, learn, and leave. She remembered every name, every borrowed book, every whispered secret between the shelves. But lately, fewer visitors came. The city was planning to close the library and turn it into a cafe. Eleanor tried not to think about it, but the thought of losing the place that had been her life broke something inside her. One day, as she dusted the shelves, she found an old book tucked behind others, letters to tomorrow written in faded ink on the cover. She didn't remember ever cataloging it. When she opened it, she was stunned to find the first page handwritten, not printed. It read, "To the librarian who never stopped believing. Thank you for keeping us safe." Her heart skipped. Inside were dozens of letters, each written by people who had once visited the library, some dated 30 or 40 years ago. They spoke of how books changed their lives, how a kind librarian had helped them through childhood loneliness, how reading had saved them. Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. The last letter was unsigned but dated that same week. It said, "You once told me that even a small library can hold the whole world inside it. You were right. I've come back to help you keep it alive." The next morning, she found a young man waiting outside, tall, with a warm smile and a bag of books. "Mrs. Finch?" he said softly. "I used to come here every day after school. You helped me find my favorite book, The Little Prince. You might not remember me, but I remember everything." His name was Daniel Hayes, now a well-known writer in the city. He told her he'd heard about the library's closure and wanted to save it. "It was this place that taught me to dream," he said. Within days, Daniel started a campaign online to preserve the Maple Street Library. Former students, readers, and residents began to donate. Messages poured in from doctors, teachers, artists, all saying the same thing: "This library changed my life." Weeks later, the city officials arrived to announce the library would stay open, fully funded as a community heritage site. Eleanor couldn't believe it. The day of the reopening, the library was full again. Children laughing, parents reading aloud, old friends reuniting among the shelves. In the center of the main hall, under a skylight glowing with autumn light, stood a framed plaque that read, "For Mrs. Eleanor Finch, who gave us more than books, she gave us a world." That night, as the day faded, Eleanor locked the doors one last time, stood under the maple trees, and whispered, "Thank you." A breeze lifted the leaves around her, as if the library itself was saying goodbye. A week later, Daniel came to visit again, but Eleanor was gone. On her desk, he found a note in her careful handwriting. "Stories never end, Daniel. They just find new readers." He looked around the quiet library, the shelves glowing with warm light, and smiled. He sat down at the same table he'd read at as a boy and began to write a new story. about a librarian who saved a town by believing in words. And maybe, if you listen closely on a quiet autumn evening, you can still hear pages turning and a gentle voice whispering, "Shh, the story's just beginning." So friends, this was The Library on Maple Street, a story about kindness, memory, and the power of one person's love for stories. If you liked it, please like, share, and subscribe to The Story Highway, where every story finds its reader, even after time forgets the rest.